class and I got Henny overflowing up my shop.
Welcome to the Sports Afterparty podcast with me, Jezza.
And Afo. We are bringing you the weekly sports conversations from across the globe. Welcome to the party.
Let's get it.
And we are off. Back again. How you doing, Afo? Welcome.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Obviously, very, very warm at the moment. Humid, a little bit sweaty at the moment, but no, it's good. We have to enjoy the warm weather when it comes to the UK. So yeah, I'm feeling nice, man. Enjoying sport. England aren't doing too well at the moment, but it's cool. We'll see what they do today. How you feeling, my bro?
Yeah, all good, bro. All good. I'm pretty hot as well, but luckily for someone on the call who's probably not as hot as we are up in sunny Glasgow is doing.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me on, boys. I've been looking forward to this. I'm glad we could finally make it work.
So,
Absolutely.
Josh, I know obviously you and Afo went to uni together. So I want to let Afo do a nice introduction to Josh, the uni student, and Josh, the athlete.
Do you know what? Leeds, and so I know Josh from Leeds, and obviously we had Leeds is a cool place. Again, Leeds, there's a lot to do in Leeds, and I guess for me, kind of we're on the same course. We did sports marketing together, and yeah, Josh was one of those guys. Obviously, he was playing for Leeds Rhinos. Everyone knew who Josh was. He was doing his thing, kind of balancing the whole thing of academy, rugby, and at the same time, kind of education. It's amazing to kind of see Josh on the call. It's been a while since I've seen him. Been a while since we kind of caught up, and obviously this has been in the works for a while. So Josh has experienced some stuff. Has been in the game. Played with some great players as well. So I'm looking forward to kind of hearing all about it. And yeah, bro. Any advice you can kind of chop to the young bulls are coming behind you, bro?
Yeah, I guess that was what about me now? Like 12, 11 years ago, man. A long time ago. But yeah, that was crazy. Obviously, yeah, it's funny hearing you say that because I just started with the Rhinos. Obviously, when we were at uni, been playing Rugby Union before that for like the sister club Leeds Carnegie. And then came to uni, came on a uni course, and I'd never played rugby league up until that point, and ended up turning pro after a year of that. So it was kind of a whirlwind time at university, studying sports marketing, trying to balance that with academy training, and then joining the first team. And ultimately, it was too much for me academically. I just ended up I did the 2 years and then didn't do the third year. Just stuck with rugby. So yeah, it was a long time ago, but it was an amazing time, and obviously it's given me a lot going forward. And I don't know if I could give advice. If you're in that position, it's a hard one because you have to I had to go all out to try and be a professional rugby player.
Yeah.
And thankfully, that worked out for me, and I had a good few years of it so far. So, I don't know. It's just, I guess, staying in your own lane. If looking back, the one thing for me was maybe looking over my shoulder a little bit, looking at what other people were doing. When I was younger, I mean, like, you could balance it. I didn't get to live the full uni life, and I kind of was sometimes looking at maybe I wanted to live that full uni life, but that was only a regret at the time. That's definitely not a regret now. The experiences that I was given through playing for Leeds Rhinos was amazing. Obviously, Leeds, yeah, really cool city, and they all really get behind the Rhinos. So it was an amazing experience.
That's amazing, bro. So obviously, initially we played Rugby Union. So Jeremy and I are both Union boys. So what was that transition like, going from Union to League? Obviously, we don't play it down south. And I saw that you were born in Surrey. So I guess
Born in Guildford. I didn't live there for long. I moved up to North Yorkshire. But to be fair, even in North Yorkshire, there's no rugby league teams within an hour. Leeds is an hour away, and that's probably, or maybe York, they're getting a bit bigger now, and they're 45 minutes away. But yeah, it was all football. And football was the thing that I first got into as a kid, actually. And then Rugby Union, there's still only one Rugby Union team. We used to go all over the Northeast. I played for Middlesbrough. That was amazing. And I always wanted to be a professional Rugby Union player. I think the first game I played as an under-9 was the day after England won the World Cup in Australia. I still remember watching that for the first time. And yeah, just kind of, I did all right at Union, progressed through the ranks, played like county level, and then obviously got into the academy. But as I was saying to Jeremy before we got on the call, that when I got to the end of my academy stage with Union, there was no contract for me. They said, you can come and do senior academy, but we're not going to be paying you, basically. So you need to either find a job or go to uni. Thankfully for me, Rhinos had seen me play. They had like a dual contract with one of the other boys in the Carnegie squad, so they'd come to our games, see me play, and their academy went for another year. So got me down, and they got me involved pretty quickly. But yeah, the transition was crazy. I lost 6 kg in like 6 weeks just from training. The running in rugby league is next level. You're just constantly running, no matter what position you are. You're running it shuttles all game, all game. They put me on for like, I think I might have been training for 2-3 weeks, and they put me on after 20 minutes and didn't bring me off. And I can't remember that game. I was that tired. I can't just remember feeling sick and being like, please take me off, please take me off. I don't remember anything I did in that game. I don't know how I did anything. I was just like, you're just holding on, man. When you first, it's literally straight into the deep end. But yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so rugby league is definitely more challenging than Union. I'll let you go next, Jez. But so rugby league, is this what you're saying? So again, for all the rugby union players that are going to listen to this, you saying that rugby league players are, I guess, bigger grafters? It's harder in rugby league.
Different. Skill set is definitely harder in Union, but league physically blows Union out the park, especially for the backs. I was never a forward, so I can't say what it'd be like. I never played at the highest level of Union as well as a forward. I know these guys are really getting into it, and there's some big boys in Union. That's the thing, but league, bro, yeah, it's just the amount of running you do. It's just non-stop. Burpee, shuttles, and then the tackle part is a lot more physical because it's not in Union. It's more of like a chop and a hit, you're down, and that's the tackle completed almost. Obviously, someone will go over the ball and you compete in the ruck, but league, it's like you want to keep them up. You want to hold them up, someone else come in, and you basically wrestle them down to the ground. And then it's just physically, I've never felt anything like it. My debut actually for the first team came on with like 22 minutes to go, and you just head down getting into it. This was in front of like 13,000 people at Headingley Stadium, and just going balls out to try and do whatever I can to help the team, make my tackles, carry the ball. I remember like just heaving so hard, feeling my heart beating out my chest. I'm sweating, and I'm like, man, this game must be nearly over. And I look up, and no word of a lie, I've been on the pitch for 2 minutes. It was just like, it's just honestly, the physicality wise, and it's crazy how much you grow into it. So after a few seasons, I was kind of up there as one of the fittest in the squads that I were playing. Your body definitely gets used to it, but physicality wise, you're sore for 3-4 days after the game, and then it's a hard session of training, team run next game. It's definitely physically, I would say league is a lot harder than Union, but skill set wise and the kind of nuances to the game, Union pips league in most positions.
That's super interesting to hear. One piece on that physicality is what I quite like about league. As I feel like in Union at the moment we're doing like everything we can to like sanitize the game, so you don't really get those like massive hits anymore, and when you do, it's a red card, and it kind of like ruins the game in my opinion. So that's why whenever I see like these like huge like collisions in league, I'm always like, that's freaking awesome, because that's definitely something that's missing from Union at the minute. I don't know if you do you still watch any Union at the moment, because like I only bring that up because in the Prem final this year, my cousin got a red card for what back in the day used to be a lovely hit, quality tackle, but unfortunately he got a red card for that, and I was just like, what is the game coming to?
It's ruining the game. It's a shame. I played Union for the last 2 years. Well, I've not played for a year, but 2 years previous to that, I was playing a bit of Richmond, a bit of Coldy, and a bit of Wharfdale. And it's definitely. I mean, it's been like 10 years since I played, but it's ruining the game. Like, I get it, and I've had friends, in league who've suffered really bad head injuries and are still feeling the effects 3-4 years on. And that's a shame. Like, obviously, you've got, there needs to be a kind of level of safety, but also you've got to understand what you're getting into when you're playing rugby. Like, if you don't want to be hurt, don't play the game of rugby. That is kind of like, it comes with the territory. I don't know anybody who's gone for a season of rugby without some kind of little injury. You're throwing your body to each other kind of full pelt, and it definitely ruins the game. I don't know. I think it'll have to stop at some point. You just need to draw a line and be like, look, man, people are going to get hurt. It's people's choices. We know we're not being forced to play this game. We put our hands up. We choose. If you don't want to play, you stop playing. But it's definitely, and it's starting to be a bit like that in league as well. And league is kind of, because you are getting an almost like a 15-meter run up at each other. So you do have to, like, they stopped the shoulder charge before I started playing, but that was obviously the one that you would see, and you'll see the YouTube kind of shorts of the shoulder charge. Sonny Bill Williams doing the shoulder charge.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore, but you do have to hit a bit higher in league, because basically, if you go low, like if you tackle the way you do in Union and League, it's a quick play of the ball and you're going to lose the game. So that's why you have to hit up high and you have to hold. So it's a difficult one, but ultimately, at the end of the day, like, you know what you're getting into when you're playing rugby. If you don't want to if you want to reduce the risk of injury that much, then kind of don't play the game almost.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
But one thing I was looking back on in terms of your career is obviously that you played for Leeds Rhinos, right? And they're like, when I think about like the top teams in league, you know, you've got Wigan, you've got Leeds. I kind of think like you guys are like the two big boys, you know, the Liverpool and the Man United. League. What was that? What was that like? What was that like playing for Leeds?
Leeds is incredible, man. Like, the stadium's completely changed now. It's a lot bigger, looks a lot more modern. But when I played, it was to the old stands and the south stand. After, I'm sure you would have been there for varsity. The stand in south stand. The fans are so passionate. They get behind the team, and the team was probably. And this is nothing to do with me. I came into this team at the back end of it, but that team that I played in, and I only played like a tiny bit part role in it. I played, like 10 games out of 30 games a season. But
Mate, don't play yourself down. Like, you won the treble there, and I remember you scored a try, right, of the last game of the final.
Yeah.
Winning try, bro. I watched that game live, bro. Like, he's trying to downplay winning try, like, bro. Last play of the game, iconic stuff, like big boy stuff.
Yeah. I obviously I managed to break into that team, and I had a role. And Mac, the coach, used to like me. But yeah, the boys in that team, honestly, man, like, if I had to compare it, I don't even know what you compare it to in another kind of sporting event. Like, I don't know if there's ever been a team like that. If you look at the players, there's 6 or 7 of them who came through almost the academy together, and they went on to play for like England. They went on to play for Great Britain. They won, like, if this is football, they won the Premier League like 5 or 6 times. I think it might have even been 7 times, some of them. Obviously, in the last year, we did the treble. We won everything you could win, and in quite style as well. And this was like when everyone was at the back end of their career as well. It was just, if you look at the players, you've got Danny Maguire, who was the all-time record try scorer in Super League. He's just been overtaken by Ryan Hall, who was on the wing. You had Jamie Peacock, who was GB captain. You had Kevin Sinfield, who obviously he's in Union now doing his thing. He's an unbelievable man. And even the boys who weren't, I had Rob Burrow, who peace be upon him, has just left us, who was one of the best, pound for pound, probably the best rugby player ever to play the game. Who else did you have? You had Jamie Jones Buchanan, who's a Leeds lad, literally grew up, a few miles away from the stadium. And there was like 7 or 8 out of 13 of these lads who had been together since they were 14, 15 years old, played for England together, played for Great Britain, won everything together. And it was just, I don't know if they'll ever beat anything that will kind of come close to that ever again. And like I say, I was there, and I got to play in a grand final. I consider myself very lucky to have, been there, kind of in the right place at the right time, playing for Carnegie, getting seen, and just getting my head down and working, and being able to play a tiny role in that team. But yeah, that team, I look back on it now, kind of when I was in it, you don't realize what you're in, but I look back on it now, and honestly, like, yeah, I am incredibly grateful, and I'm so happy that I got the experience that I did get. The team is unbelievable.
Awesome, mate. Nice. I think what I like to think about, like, how I would feel if I was playing for like United in the golden era and stuff, and it seems like you managed to catch Leeds at just the right time and get to catch that wave.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if if there is a team that's like it, it's like, the Nevilles and the Beckhams and the Giggs and the Scholes all coming through United at the same time and going on to do what they did. And even the coach, Brian McDermott, he rubbed a few people up the wrong way for sure, but just, the to be kind of influenced and be around someone like that was just unbelievable. And so you've got the first team there, but then even the boys who I came through the academy with are some of the the best men that I've ever met, and some of them I continue to be mates with to this day. And we were at Headingley last week for a memorial for Rob Burrow, and I seen a lot of the boys then, and it was just, you kind of sit and we talk about these times that we had together, the training that we went together, the kind of events, even when we weren't playing, and we were playing at Wembley, and we get to go and watch them support the boys, and it was just, yeah, it was an incredible time, an incredible team, and I don't think that will ever be repeated again. And I'm so grateful that I got to be a part of that.
Well, that's amazing. Obviously, you've touched on Rob there, and obviously one of your ex-teammates. So I guess for us, it'd be good to kind of hear a bit more, I guess, from a background, kind of playing with him, what it was in like training with him. As you mentioned, pound for pound, probably one of the best players of all time. So yeah, man, touch on Rob and what he meant to you, and what it was like being around him and playing with him.
Rob was an amazing guy, and you always kind of hear, when people pass away about how good a person was, and they're the best person. But genuinely, I can genuinely say this from the bottom of my heart: Rob was the the best bloke you could ever wish. Not even above being a teammate, just to be around. He was such like a good role model, and I don't mean in a way where like he's just like, yeah, training hard, rugby is everything. He showed that there was something away from rugby. He was always a family man, so good to his wife. He was, he would there be take part, he'd laugh and he'd joke around with the team, but he'd know his duty away from the field. And you could just see, and you've seen that through, his struggles in the last few years of his life, how his wife was there, how, tight knit and his family was. But honestly, it's, yeah, words, they escape me a little bit when it comes to describing Rob, but genuinely, when you hear these kind of tributes that go out about him, like, I can guarantee you that every single one of them is true. We had, like I said, there was a memorial last week, and over 100 of his ex-teammates turned up. And this would be the case if, if he hadn't gone and done what he'd done for MND, if it'd just been, the end of his career. He is genuinely someone that, I don't know anybody who didn't like him. He disliked very few people as well. He was just such a down-to-earth guy, and this is before I've even got to him on the rugby field, and then when you watch him on the rugby field, like, 5'5", tiny guy, but just would, he'd take on anybody. There'd be games where it's like, I was playing forwards in league, and it's like, we're getting kind of battered down the middle. Rob would come in, and he's not really banging anybody, but he'd put his body on the line. He wasn't afraid. And then you just knew if a game was tight, Rob got the ball, you just knew, you didn't know what he was going to do, but he was going to do something. He'd be running sideways. You literally see him ducking under people's arms. He's an unbelievable rugby player, and someone that now he's no longer with us, but I can genuinely say that he had nothing else left to give this earth. He is someone who poured his soul out, and it just came that way. That's just how he was. It wasn't that we had to try to be this amazing person. He just was a genuinely amazing person. And when he finished playing, he did move into kind of coaching the academy side. And even when I was coming through, I've got messages on my phone that he's texted me a couple of times when I was first in the first team and I've been dropped. Wow. And he's texted me saying that I'd have you in the team every week. And yeah, again, that's just someone who I'm almost kind of in disbelief that I got to spend the times that I did with him and be around someone so great. But like I said, peace be upon him. He's at peace now, and he gave everything. He gave everything he could to this life and to this earth and to those around him. And yeah, he was just honestly a pleasure to be around.
That's beautiful,
man. Mate, that's an awesome tribute. You can only hope people speak about you like that once you're gone. Mate, that's awesome to hear about Rob. So let's talk a little bit about your time outside of Leeds Rhinos. You played for a few other clubs, London Broncos as well. It'd be interesting to hear about as you went into those different clubs. What your once you're leaving somewhere like Leeds, I guess nowhere can really compare. But what your experience was like at some of these other clubs.
Yeah, Leeds was definitely one of those where I didn't know a lot about league until I started playing it. But I always knew about Leeds, and I always knew about the players I've just been talking about, and they always just seem and came across as kind of like the most almost professional club. In the in everything that they do, the way they play, the way even just the way the kit looked. But kind of at Leeds, I was only ever a sort of bit part player, and that my job at Leeds was to come on and to make tackles. And sort of when the boys who were older than me left and moved on, I didn't have the necessary skills to become more of a complete player and consolidate my position in that team. And now that's down to me. I did the bare minimum. I did all I needed to do to be in that team. I did what I was asked of by the coach. But when it came time to push on and consolidate my spot in that first team, I wasn't able to do it. I felt very lost. I felt like I didn't really know the game very well. And then I went to Featherstone. So I've been playing kind of in rugby league. You have like dual reg. I think you have it in Union as well. So I'd played a lot at the Featherstone club already, so I knew Featherstone. But they just got this new coach who was Ryan Carr, who at the time he would have been in his early 30s, so really young, never heard of him before or anything like that. And Leeds basically said to me, I had 1 year left on my contract, but Leeds basically said to me and another guy, they said, listen, like, you're going to Featherstone, you're not in this squad. We're going to pay you the same. You're still going to be on a contract, but you're going to be getting paid by Featherstone. You're going to go over there. And I was like, all right, okay. I guess I haven't got a choice. I'll go and play for Featherstone. But honestly, that was the best year of rugby that I've ever played. This coach came in, Ryan Carr, an Aussie, like I said, young, and he's up there as well. I've had a few coaches, and he's up there one of the best coaches tactically and rugby wise. I think he destroyed himself that season with how much he put into the team. But we were like, we weren't expected to do anything. We had the likes of Toronto in the league that year, Lee Centurions, who are now Lee Leopards in the Super League. We would have been, hopefully we get a playoff spot, and we ended up. We beat everyone apart from Toronto. Toronto had a stacked team. They, a lot of money they were putting into it. They were trying to get to Super League. But yeah, Ryan Carr at Featherstone gave me a role to play, and that whole season I was just like, right, okay, I get the game of rugby league now. Like, I've got a role in a team. I'm kind of valued as something a little bit higher. And I was 23, 24 years old at this point, and he gave me like a role in the sort of like the leadership group. So there's 4 players, kind of the older boys, and then because I played in the grand final, he was like, you're going to be in the leadership group. And it definitely it brought the best out in me. And as a club, they're not the most professional, but again, the fans are amazing. The fans are so passionate, and they absolutely love the team, and they show up week in, week out, no matter where you go. And we were playing Toulouse away, and they'd turn up and sell it out. Even Toronto, they'd come and watch us in Toronto. And Featherstone is a tiny team in like Wakefield. You would never have heard of it. It's a little like mining town. But yeah, they love their rugby league, and I had an amazing season there. Loved it. And the plan was to go to Australia actually and play in Australia. Had a deal kind of lined up there with a Queensland Cup team, so like championship level. That fell through, and London Broncos at the time were asking my agent about me, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give London a crack. I kind of wanted at that point to be out. Rugby league's there's obviously London, there's Toulouse, there was Toronto, and there's Catalan, so Toulouse and Catalan in France. So it's all in like Lancashire and Yorkshire. That's where you can play rugby league pretty much. That's about it, unless you go to Australia. And I was like, I just want to get out. It's a bubble. It's a very much kind of like a fish pond, and everybody knows everybody, and it's just a bit like, I want to get out of this. I want to experience something new, so I wanted to go to Australia. But thankfully, London came up. London came, wanting my number, and managed to sign 2 years with them. They were in Super League at the time, so I thought I'd be playing Super League next season, and they thought they would be as well, but they ended up getting relegated, and it was like a record point. So nobody had ever been relegated with as many points as that before. It went down to literally the last game of the season. So I was like, I'll be playing Championship. It's fine. We'll get up this next season and get another shot at Super League. But unfortunately, I went down to London. We had a crack. Played like 5 games. COVID happened. And because in the championship only 2 teams were full time, which was London and Toulouse, none of the other teams wanted to play with no fans because they don't get any money. Then they would have just gone into loads of debt. So the season got cancelled, and that was, a whole year of rugby league missed. Just living in London. Thankfully, I met my now wife at that point, so we, spent the whole of lockdown together, and that was amazing for me. And that kind of started my transition to where I am now, kind of out of rugby. Did another season, did my second season at London, but they were kind of pulling. They've been really good to us. They'd paid us fully throughout the pandemic, despite everything was going on. But there wasn't really any money put back into the club, so we had a lot of boys leaving and not being replaced, and we struggled that next season. They went down to part time, and then it was, I was like, I'm going to try and play Rugby Union, see how that goes. But I absolutely love London. I love London as a place, and it's a shame that it doesn't get as much backing from rugby league as what the other clubs do, because it'd be an amazing place to have a good solid rugby league team. And they're up in Super League now, but I think they've been told they're going to be relegated because they haven't met certain kind of regulations. So there's kind of no point in the owners putting money in, because that we're going to get relegated, so what's the point in us spending money? So they kind of they're having a tough time of it in Super League at the minute. They'll have a dig. The coach now, Mike Eccles, great guy. He was a strength and conditioning coach when I first signed at London. They've really bootstrapped it all together. But he is, he's done an amazing job with the kind of facilities and the access that he's got. And now they've won a game in Super League, so he's doing amazing. And I absolutely love London. I got a lot of time for the boys there and the club itself. So yeah, I hope to see them on the up. But my time there wasn't, in terms of rugby, it wasn't very fruitful. But in terms of life outside of it, it was the best time of my life. So
Yeah, and in terms of, you talked about growing the game in London, with it being like such a big opportunity for, league to be able to grow the marketing side of it, grow the interaction and the fan base. What are your thoughts on that, in terms of just generally as a sport? Like, league seems to play second fiddle a bit to union in terms of popularity. How can you see league kind of increasing its popularity across the nation?
Well, I just think it needs to. I don't know. It's hard. The need to have teams in London. The need, having Toronto was amazing for them, but as soon as COVID came in, nobody backed them, and there's no money, and so the owners pulled out. But that would have been amazing. They'd signed Sonny Bill Williams. I think they were talking to Danny Cipriani. They were really trying to grow the game, but it seems to be a very northern sport, and they're happy to keep it that way. Which is a shame, because the talent pool in London, some of the boys there coming through the academy are so raw, and you'll see a few of them now. I think there's one lad who's playing at Wigan. There's one guy who was at Wigan who's gone to the NRL. I just think the Super League kind of banner and RFL should just. It's hard because there's a lot more money in it in Australia, but they need to try and follow that route. And I don't actually keep up to it with it that much anymore, because I just don't find it that entertaining, and I know kind of how it's run, and I'm not that into it. Whereas NRL, I'm gripped by NRL, the way that the games are filmed, the way that the matches are hyped up, the players that you'll see, and there's no reason why you can't have the same level as players in England that you can in Australia. If you look at some of the boys, who would kind of in London, who would probably miss out on Union or even any other sports that could kind of be tapped into in rugby league. They're trying to spread it, but it just needs to be more widespread. There's a team in Cornwall, there's a team in the Midlands somewhere, but it's just, you wouldn't know about it. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know. They're just London needs to be backed for one. They need to get London going. That would lift up so many more opportunities for them. I've realised that being down in London, everyone, obviously you boys are from London, you don't get it. Everyone in the north is kind of, and it's same up Scotland. They're like, oh, they only care about the government, and not everyone only cares about London. And it was interesting, what my wife does. She's in business, she's got her own business and going through investment and stuff. And I went to kind of an investor network thing, and there's a panel speaking, and they said that, because one of the complaints was that London doesn't, Manchester doesn't get the same opportunities as London does, and Manchester needs the same opportunities as London. And someone came up from London and was like, look, you just need to stop with that, because London is like the financial capital of the world. You should consider yourself so lucky and so blessed to be so close to such a strong city. There's many other like amazing city and amazing countries in Europe who have nowhere near the access of what we do in England. And if you can just tap into London, the amount of money that's coming through London in whatever way you've got to, then the game could explode, and London could have an amazing team, an amazing academy. But I just think, if you look at London again, they're not getting back. So they're like, why are we gonna like put any more money in if we're not gonna see anything for it? And it just feels like it's too much wanting to be kept as a northern game. There's a very strong and proud history in rugby league. And I just obviously it's easy to talk about it, but maybe make suggestions. But I would just focus on London, like get London in the Super League, get them steady in the Super League, get them filling out stadiums, or at least half filling out stadiums, and getting some of the TV stuff down there. But I don't know. To be honest, I have shied away from watching it as much. My best friend plays for Lee Leopard, so I watch them when they're on TV, and I like to catch up with Rhinos every now and again because I've got a few of my old mates who play there. But apart from that, I don't really watch Super League. NRL's amazing what they're doing over there with the Rugby League in Australia. If anyone wants to start watching Rugby League, start watching that, because it's an unbelievable spectacle.
And the State of Origin series is taking place right now as well, and that is just huge.
I've seen that.
It literally, like, if there's one thing that will get you into league, it's State of Origin.
Yeah, that's like Yorkshire playing Lancashire, but it's bigger than any like international test match. It's bigger. It's huge, and it's 3 games a year. They're sold out. The whole of Australia stops to watch it. And even like the whole of the rugby league community in England will watch it as well. It's unbelievable. So you could do something like that, and I know they did way before I played, but did like a Yorkshire versus Lancashire. Just get kind of more events. Even kind of the international stuff, it's not as well watched because I don't know, it just seems to lack something. There's no kind of like bite to it. There's no excitement, and these players deserve that opportunity. They're playing for their country, that should be a massive buzz, but they're not even playing at like filled out stadiums. It's hard, but it's a shame, because honestly, like, my family had never watched rugby league, and as soon as I started playing rugby league, they were like, I can't watch Union anymore. It's too slow. It's too, like, especially in the UK in the winter, it's just a kicking game, isn't it? Whereas rugby league, summer sport, you get to see those big hits. It's intense. It's fast. It's such a great spectacle, but they just need, to kind of bring that out and showcase that a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, bro. And I guess from transitioning from playing the sport, playing rugby league, obviously now health and fitness coach, what's that journey been like? How are you finding it? And I guess what's it like being a fitness coach up in Scotland?
Well, to me, I've been in Manchester for the last 2 years, so I've obviously only been up here for 3 weeks, and I was doing it in person, and I met some amazing people. But the kind of health and fitness industry in itself, and I was saying to Jeremy just before we went live that, like, it's very like kind of it's all marketing based, right? So you can get someone who doesn't know anything, who hasn't really been for anything, but is kind of naturally a bit more ripped and takes the top off, has more followers on Instagram, and then is well marketed their page, who will be really successful. Whereas that even like me, I got into it because I've played rugby and I know how to look after my body, but I didn't go to university for it. I didn't study it or anything like that. And there's people out there who are genuinely so knowledgeable and could help you. And it's honestly, it's so simple, right? But they're not the people who are getting the attention. It's kind of hard. You have to, it's become like especially the online stuff, it's become like a marketing game. Who's the best at marketing? And it's hard to kind of, it depends what you want to do. If you just want to make money, like, fair enough, but it's hard. Like, I want to remain authentic. I want to genuinely help people. I don't just want to, there's a lot of like get shredded in 12 weeks. And I've worked with a number of people in person who have gone to actual PT gyms, which is designed to get you shredded in like 12 weeks, paid huge amounts of money. And then once they're finished, they just put, like half or more of the weight back on. And it's just it's not healthy in its, it's called health and fitness, but it's not particularly healthy. And I think, it's great. Like, people are getting into health and fitness, they value it more, but health and fitness is so simple. And that's where I'm kind of going with it now. I'm going to look more into behavioral coaching as opposed to just, writing programs for people and charging a ridiculous amount. Because I want to genuinely help people and give people tools which, you can use and you can carry on forward. And that's stuff that I can genuinely pull from my rugby career. I've worked with some of the best S&Cs, some of the best nutritionists. I think the nutritionist I work with at Rhinos, he's now the Arsenal nutritionist. S&C, one of the guys was worked with England footballs, worked with England Rugby Union, physios worked with England Rugby Union. One of my other physios, Ben Harper, he now works with GB Taekwondo, has been to the Olympics and stuff like that. And it's just like, when I look back, the knowledge that I've kind of gained, I want to put that into something, and it all comes down to behavior. It's not about a certain exercise, it's not about a certain routine, or a specialized kind of like one size fits all. It comes down to behavior and how you can kind of control your mind. So yeah, for me, that's what I'm looking to move into now, as opposed to just the writing program side of things. And yeah, it's interesting. It's been an eye-opener. But yeah, it's mainly a marketing game, and I struggle with it. A lot of people struggle with it because it's so easy to be a PT. You literally have to do a 6-week course and then you're a qualified PT, and you can say whatever you like and people can listen to it. So a lot of it as well is undoing, kind of like there's no need for you to do that or think like that. Jeremy was saying before, the Eddie Abu kind of people who go extreme, and yeah, there's just no need for it. It's so simple. If you want to be something kind of a bit more, if you have a specific goal, and it's maybe not as simple. If it's performance you're looking for, it's not as simple. But general like health and fitness is the simplest thing ever.
And what's the name of your business as well? Let's make sure we do a bit of marketing here.
Yeah, so at the minute it's just me. I've been Joshua Walters coaching on my Instagram, but I am actually launching a program, and this is where the behavioural come into it, called 1 through 9. So it's going to be 1 through 9, the 1 through 9 program that people will do. And yeah, it's just basically, we don't have a lot of freedom. We have obviously freedom compared to a lot of times, but from our own minds, people are always trying to sell us stuff, always trying to tell us it's this and it's that. And I don't know if that you'll notice that when you're happiest, when you're feeling your best, is when you're not listening to somebody else, but you're in your own body, you're in your own mind, you've got control of, to a certain point, of everything you can control. And that's what I kind of want to push out there and put out there. There's coaches out there who I've seen who are doing it and doing things a little bit differently, but the behavioral route 1 through 9 program, that's coming out soon. I'm just in the middle of writing that to start taking people through that. So yeah, that's
awesome, mate. We're gonna make sure we share that as well and get that out there.
Well, I've just, so before we let you go, obviously we've got, like I mentioned to you before, got 2 questions before we sign off. So my first question for you: if you could advise your younger self, so again, younger athlete self of yours that you are, what would you say? What would you say?
I'd say keep it simple. I have died on many hills. I have been like, this is the thing that is going to save me. This is the thing that's going to make me the best rugby player. Eating this food, living this way, subscribing to this thing, following what this person says. And it's kind of, it just ends up with a lot of work, having to unlearn a lot of stuff that kind of isn't necessary. And it led to me not backing myself and not making the most of certain opportunities. Because I look back on my career, right, and I look back on what I've done so far, and I don't have any regret in my life, because I wouldn't be where I am right now, and that wouldn't be right to think like that. But there's also times, where I've just kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit, and things could have been a little bit different, and I could have made more for myself now in terms of what I have to learn and what I have to unlearn. So I don't know if that sounds a little bit complicated, but just keep it simple. It's not, there's nothing, just work hard on the basics, and whatever you do, stay professional, and things will be fine. Things are gonna go wrong. That's life. It happens. But just keep on keeping it simple.
Yeah, and that's strong, bro. I think that you can even apply that to, I guess, everything in life, in business as well. So
yeah, for sure.
Appreciate that. And then final one from me. It's a question I always get asked, is like, if you could have 3 celebrities or 3 icons that are alive at dinner party, who'd you have? So I think we'll switch up a little bit and we keep it to sports athletes or people within the sports space. So which 3 sports athletes would you invite to your dinner party?
The first to be an easy one would be Muhammad Ali, because he just seems like, one was a wise guy, but also very entertaining. The second one, I don't know if you guys follow basketball, but Kyrie,
Yeah,
Irving.
Kyrie Irving. Yeah.
That guy, like, yeah, I just love what he's about. He's so truly himself that people really struggle with him. A lot of people don't like him, but I think it's amazing what he's done. I started following the Nets in like 2018 because I got drafted there in a basketball game. So I was like, okay, I'm going to support the Nets, and he showed up, and that kind of introduced me to him. And there was a lot of time. I think it was his second or third season where he wasn't playing. He was like, I'm not playing. Like, I just don't want to play. I'm not injured. I just don't want to play because of where I'm at mentally. And I just think that's amazing and needs to be normalized a little bit more. Not on the sense of like, I'm depressed or I'm anxious. He was like, when you listen back and hear him speak now, he was going on a journey to kind of find out about himself, about his ancestors, where he's from, kind of being more with the people. He's paid so much money, and just show up and play basketball is what people will say. But yeah, to me, he is just such an interesting guy, and so like truly authentically himself, or that's how it comes across as. I'd have so many questions for him. So he'd be the second. The third, there's a lot to choose from. My first, do you know what? Thierry Henry. He was like my first idol, and like he is the GOAT, the literal GOAT. Thierry Henry would be the third.
That's beautiful. I appreciate
He's
that.
about to become Wales head coach as well, by the way. Thierry.
Has he actually?
It's looking as if he's going to be, rumored to be. Yeah.
Wow. I'll have to go to a Wales game and try and catch him.
No, Josh, honestly, mate, thank you so much for taking the time out and having this chat with us. It's been super enlightening for us, and really entertaining as well. So no, thank you so much, bro. I hope you enjoy the experience.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you boys taking your time for doing what you're doing, giving people a platform, and just having some fun with it. Yeah, I really, really appreciate your time. It's good to see you again, Afo, and good to meet you, Jeremy.
No, nice one, my bro. Appreciate it, man. And keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
So that's that. Like, share, subscribe, everyone. The TSAP Sports After Party podcast. We out.
Let's get it.
I'm a different type of rock star. I got class and I got Henny overflowing up my shot glass. And yeah, I know I'm not a keeper, but can you be my mamacita by the time I'm done with this tequila?